Folks, Bill Belichick can't get a job in the NFL after leaving the New England Patriots after 24 years. Before we dive into it, appreciate you stopping by. Would also appreciate a subscribe. Also hit the bell notification if you want to get alerted when videos come out, because you know that I'm always giving out straight heat with my takes. And if you're a longtime supporter of the channel, appreciate you and your continued support. You don't know what it means to me. If you're someone who's new to the channel, I'm thankful for you taking the time. So wait, you're telling me that teams that are extremely desperate for wins aren't interested in an authoritarian, rigid, delusional coach who's going to put subpar defensive coordinators as offensive coordinators? You're telling me that they don't want a coach who doesn't want to be questioned, wants to run personnel, even though he's had about a decade's worth of horrible drafts? Surprise, surprise. I said this earlier in the season. Sean Payton, Bill Belichick, and Mike McCarthy, who have won Super Bowls with Hall of Fame quarterbacks, need to walk out the door at the same time that the QB does. Because for the longest time, we as the public and the media have been under the assumption that those coaches are the straw that stirs the drink. What we're finding out now, as Payton, McCarthy, and Belichick, as they all try to pivot into this second act, it's not looking good. They're looking hella incompetent. Belichick's getting beat by 30 in back-to-back games. McCarthy and Payton are calling plays that seem to be popular in the early 2000s, and they seem to not be able to step out of the place where they think that they are an offensive or a defensive genius. And we have built them up this way. The proof is in the pudding. Remember when Tom Brady left and we were all surprised that he only had a market of about 3 teams interested in him? Well, it seems like Bill Belichick had a market of 1, and the Falcons just hired Raheem Morris, who was a failed head coach with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a decade ago. Raheem has obviously made significant strides as an all-world defensive coordinator with the Rams, so he definitely deserves another shot. But for Arthur Blank, who has been very open about how desperate he is to be relevant and to win, for him to say, yeah, we're not interested in Belichick anymore, what it tells you is that the teams in the NFL clearly see Bill Belichick's best work in the past. Nobody wants to bring in a guy who has been on record saying that he just wants to draft and bring in free agents who he likes to coach personality-wise. That's not the way this business works. And nobody wants to work with a person who doesn't have the self-awareness to not put a defensive coordinator as the offensive coordinator for your first-round quarterback. There is a legitimate chance that Belichick and his future in the NFL coaching is no longer. And I think it's time to really have that conversation, because if you've got the Falcons telling you that they're not interested, you've got the Commanders who haven't been relevant in 30 years telling you we're good, the Chargers, who I think is the best job on the market, the Bears, they could have moved off of from Eberflus. This is why I said what I said early in the season. Those coaches that have had this massive success and have this huge myth about them, they need to walk out the door at the time that their QB does. Because there's increasingly more evidence that's showing that these coaches are disproportionately carried by quarterbacks and need to be held accountable for that. And I think that's what we're seeing now. I talked about how the media continues to build these dudes up for God knows what reason. Yes, they win a Super Bowl. Of course, in Belichick's case, he's absolutely dominated for that period of time. But the NFL is moving in the complete opposite way. And we know that this is becoming increasingly all sports leagues are becoming more player reliant, where it's no longer just the organizations or just the coaches that are the face of the franchises and the ones who make a massive influence on the decisions that are happening. And so it's absolutely no surprise to me that the brain trust in the NFL is saying, yeah, that worked in the 2000s, but it's not going to work today. And I think there's a real shot that Belichick may never coach in the NFL again. And I can't say that I disagree with it.